If you thought your hometown sucked, welcome to beautiful Salt's Neck, a town as cold and barren as my ex-girlfriend. Innies and outies, we have only 3 more episodes of Severance this season, and boy did this one throw some major curveballs that are going to completely change the show's direction. Is Cobel an Egan? Who really invented Severance? And where can I get some of that sweet, sweet ether? You know the drill, like and subscribe for a music dance experience. We're going on a trip. The episode begins over the rocky shores of Salt's Neck, an apt image considering Harmony Cobel's rocky relationship with her past. The last we saw Harmony, she turned down a meeting with Helena Egan and the board, although never explicitly stated if she were to enter that building, she may never come out of it alive. Instead, she's made the long journey to her hometown of Salt's Neck, something that was hinted at a few episodes ago. In the world of Severance, we aren't exactly sure where Salt's Neck is located, however we do know the real Salt's Neck is located on the Bonavista Peninsula in Newfoundland, Canada. Now these two towns share a lot in common. Both were centered around factories which closed down, causing economic hardship for those who remained. This makes Bonavista the perfect stand-in location for Cobel's hometown. It's clear from the get-go Cobel has no love for this place, throwing away her water bottle like garbage and noticing the town's many inhabitants addicted to ether. Salt's Neck was once home to a thriving ether factory, the same type of factory where Kier Egan met his wife Imogene. In episode 105, Bert and Irv admire a painting depicting their courtship, but like everything Lumon, things aren't exactly as they seem. For example, the Compliance Handbook notes that Kier and Imogene weren't bonded by love, rather a quote, spirit of industry, where Kier creepily states the highest expression of love is that between employee and employer. Ether can be used to put someone to sleep, so it's quite possible that this was never a love story, rather Kier was a predator that used to take advantage of a poor swab girl. The show does a great job at parsing out information on what exactly happened to both this town and Cobel's family, leaving enough unanswered to keep a certain level of mystery. That being said, here is what we know. Harmony Cobel grew up in Salt's Neck with her mother, Charlotte. This is the name we saw on the breathing tube all the way back in season 1. Their home is located near the Nine, a peninsula named after Kier's 9 core principles. Living with them is Celestine Sissy Cobel, who I assume is Harmony's aunt. We'll see one of her plaques awarded for being a quarterly striver. At a young age, Harmony was sent as a child laborer to work one of these factories where she became friends with Hampton. Their friendship blossomed until she was sent off to the Myrtle Egan School for Girls. Later in the episode, we'll get a glimpse of Cobel's Myrtle Egan yearbook, which hints that there are several such schools around the country. On this page, for example, we'll see various schools Salt's Neck competed against, including Providence, Gans, which happens to be the name of the college Mark and Gemma taught at, and Kier, where Mark and the Lumon headquarters are located. If I had to take a guess, Miss Huang goes to the Kier location. Milchek already told her that she cannot move on from, quote, this fellowship until she is deemed Wintertide material. A Wintertide Fellowship is the most prestigious award one can be given at a Myrtle Egan school, and Miss Cobel won it in her year. It's given to those with exceptional academics and those who best embody Kier's 9 core principles. Presenting this award to Harmony was none other than a young James Egan, the father of Helena and current CEO of Lumon. Now this is where things get interesting. I gotta believe there's a far deeper relationship between James and Harmony. She would have had to have spent days if not months with him going over the blueprints and schematics for Severance, which we learn this episode wasn't invented by James but Harmony Cobel herself. In past episodes, it's been hinted that Harmony has some sort of leverage over Lumon that could hurt their public image, and I think we've just uncovered what this is. But what if it goes further? There is still the possibility that Harmony may be a part of the Egan family. For example, there's not one mention of Harmony's father. What if James is her dad, or even creepier, her lover? That would certainly add more fuel to the fire if word got out about that. Harmony tells Sissy the reason she didn't tell anyone she was the inventor was twofold. The first is the fear she would be banished. I found this word choice super weird. Like, where are you going to be banished to? From Lumon, the company that stole your ideas? The second is this belief that Kier's knowledge is for all. Even though she came up with it, it belongs to Kier. Yet this still doesn't explain why she didn't get any credit. So Cobel has many reasons to hate Lumon. First, she was a child laborer. Second, it can be assumed that her mother's work at the Lumon ether factory gave her the respiratory illness that led to her death. Third, Lumon closed the factory and abandoned everyone in town. 4, they stole her schematics for Severance. And 5, they fired her. Why then, after all this, does Cobel continue to worship Kier and spend years working for Lumon?
What is it we actually do here?
We serve Kier! You child!
This is why I think there is a deeper connection between her and the Egans that the show has yet to reveal. In the season 1 finale, James tells Helly a story about showing her one of Severance's first prototype chips. Developing such a chip would take years, and I have to believe Harmony's expertise would be needed. Throughout the episode, Harmony will receive calls from Devon. We saw her trying to make one of these calls at the end of last episode in the hopes she might be able to help Mark and gain them access to the Demona birthing cottages. Devon believes that if they bring Mark to one of these cottages, his Severance chip will switch and they'll be able to talk with his innie. This stems from when Devon met Gabby Arteta. She noticed Gabby had no recollection of meeting her and deduced that Gabby must have undergone severance in order to avoid the pain of going through childbirth. Miss Cobel stops at the Drippy Pot Cafe, where we can see other members of the community who most likely once worked at that ether factory. Take, for example, this woman on Oxygen. Lumon has abandoned those who once worked so fervently for them, and it's no wonder the town has turned its back on the company. Sissy, a stalwart Lumon supporter, is the town pariah, likely due to the fact she still supports them. Hampton, a former co-worker of Cobel's turned part-time drug dealer, dishes out hits of ether to the town's struggling denizens. We'll see him pass an old building where you can make out the words Kier Egan's Lumon ether. There is a miracle cure for man. You might remember Milchek's license plate says the Latin phrase remedium hominibus, which means cure for man. But what exactly does man need a cure from? In my episode 207 video, I theorized Lumon is wanting to cure mankind from all pain, and just so happens to be using Miss Casey as its test subject. Imagine if you could switch to your innie anytime you had a moment that would cause you pain or trauma, from dental cleanings, turbulence, workouts, pregnancy, to even writing annoying Christmas cards. Cobel enlists the help of Hampton even though he knows he shouldn't be seen around her. She needs to retrieve something from Sissy's house and does not want to be seen by Lumon. It just goes to show you how far-reaching Lumon's surveillance can go. Hampton scoffs when she refers to them as once chums and colleagues. That's because it's implied these two were once in love, something that is highlighted when they kiss after taking hits of ether. Upon arriving at Sissy's, the first thing I noticed was her white nightgown. I found this very similar to the one Cobel wears in season 1. In fact, we'll see lots of similarities between Cobel and Sissy, including the fact they both have shrines to Kier. It's clear that Cobel isn't welcome as Harmony makes her way to her old room that is almost completely devoid of, well, anything. That is, of course, this weird plushie. Honest to God, I spent an hour trying to find out where this toy was from, and the closest thing I could come up with are these Furballs chew toys for dogs. I can't help but think this is important considering it's the only item in her room. And if I'm completely wrong and missed that this is some sort of famous character from the 70s or 80s, please embarrass me in the comments. You'll also notice much of the home is draped in Lumon green. There's a height chart where we can see Harmony lived here from at least age 9 to 12, with 12 likely being the age she moved away to the Myrtle Egan School, unable to see her mother in her dying days. It's clear that Harmony holds resentment towards Sissy. She was never able to say goodbye to her mom because Sissy removed her breathing tube, an act of compassion meant to ease her mother's pain. However, in one of the final scenes, Sissy reveals Charlotte removed the breathing tube on her own. Like with everything Lumon, we can't be sure who's telling the truth. Cobel rips out the phone cord, afraid that Lumon could be listening. Drummond has been around and states that Lumon will forgive her if she returns and asks forgiveness. Cobel wants access to her mother's room and proceeds to search Sissy's for the key. Inside, we'll see that shrine to Kier. Of note are the 4 tempers and a news article stating James Egan assumes role as Lumon CEO. There's even some goat imagery. We catch a brief glimpse of the "you must be cut to heal" saying, something Cobel would say in season 1 and that Milchek adopted.
We must be cut to heal.
Charlotte's room is rather depressing. The hospital bed she died on is still there next to the device her breathing tube connects with. In a weird moment, even by Severance standards, Cobel hooks the tube up to the machine and proceeds to breathe through it, like a macabre way of connecting with her mother. According to Hampton, the only person who hated Lumon more than Cobel was her mother, and that could be for several reasons, including blaming them for her disease and taking away her daughter. I wonder if there's more to Cobel's decision to attend Myrtle Egan than we're being told. Now, nothing says love more than kissing on your dead mom's bed. After indulging in some ether, Hampton and Cobel kiss, but right before they do, Cobel says this.
It's shameful that you said it.
What exactly did he say? I think he told her he loved her. Cobel still needs to find what she came looking for, stating that Sissy wouldn't have thrown it away. What she's referring to is the Wintertide Fellowship Award, in the shape of James Egan. No way Sissy would have thrown away this Lumon relic, which also makes it the perfect hiding spot for Cobel's papers, which are stashed inside. We'll also get to see a bit from Cobel's yearbook, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious that their mascot are the Fighting Kids. They've also cast someone as young Harmony here, so I wonder if we'll learn more about this part of her life, perhaps in future seasons. There's also a fun musical throwback to Cobel's Kier song from season 1 that you can hear faintly in the background.
Kier, chosen one, Kier.
It should be noted that Harmony won her award during the Year of the Wiles. Wiles, one of the 9 core principles, meaning devious or cunning, and Harmony is certainly that. In her final confrontation with Sissy, Cobel reveals that she was the one to invent Severance. Everything from the circuit blueprint, base code, OTC, and Glasgow block were created by her. Even with all the evidence, Sissy won't believe it and even tries throwing the papers into the fire. For her, Lumon and the Egans have taken on an almost religious-like essence, and no matter what anyone says, she will not lose faith. Sissy refers to Cobel's mother as being filled with malice, one of Kier's 4 tempers. With Cobel telling Sissy that she invented Severance, it's very likely she'll tell Drummond, and Lumon will have to take drastic steps in order to stop her. At the end of the episode, we'll see a car approaching from the distance. Is this Drummond or some other Lumon lackey? Whoever it is, it's clear now that Cobel is all in on bringing down Lumon. She finally picks up Devon's phone call and learns that Mark has begun the process of reintegration. And immediately she knows Ragabi is involved. Remember that Ragabi stormed out of Mark's house after Devon said she'd be calling Cobel, so these two definitely have some sort of history. I think it's totally possible that after Cobel graduated from Myrtle Egan, she got a job at Lumon headquarters where she worked with James and Ragabi on developing Severance. In fact, it's very possible that Cobel herself was the first Severance test subject. In episode 106, we see she has a Severance chip necklace, and there have been a lot of weird discrepancies with her character, such as telling Mark that her mother was an atheist and his outie that she was a devout Catholic.
You know my mother was a Catholic.
You know my mother was an atheist.
It may even bring some insight into why she sometimes loves Lumon and other times hates it. Perhaps by making herself a test subject, it scrambled up her brain and Ragabi was brought in to help fix it. Maybe James Egan had her severed against her will so that she'd forget she invented Severance in the first place, but that would have obviously failed. Lots of crazy things they could do here. Also, I love how the winding road here looks like one of the wavelengths you'd find on Ragabi's reintegration machine. One thing I thought this episode might touch on are seals. Salt's Neck looks like the perfect place you'd find a seal like the mummified one we saw during our Innie's Orpo. One thing I like about this show is that the creators have said if they introduce a mystery, it will be solved. So I'm looking forward to finding out just what the heck a mummified seal was doing in the middle of a forest. Now, according to the official trailers, there's only one shot that we haven't yet seen. I know I usually have a trailer sleuthing section at the end, but we're coming down to the wire on what hasn't been shown. Here we have who I believe to be Helly walking down this drab hallway toward a snowy outdoor setting. I'm eliminating this being Miss Casey unless she's somehow managed to escape the test floor. Just where she is and what she's doing remains to be seen, but with 2 episodes left, we're running out of time. Now I turn it over to you. What did you think of this episode? I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember,
I love you.